The Coast Guard broke the grim news today after a remote-controlled rescue sub discovered the remains of the Titan on the ocean floor, just 500 yards from the historic wreck of the Titanic.
After days of searching for the submersible, am I saying that right, Ben? Because I know that I don't want you to be like Rebecca. Okay, that went missing in the Atlantic Ocean as it transported 5 people to view the wreckage of the Titanic. Officials said its fate is no longer a mystery. It imploded in the depths of the sea, apparently within hours after starting its descent. It just shows power, what money can literally buy you.
You know, I saw all the jokes and all the memes. You know, and I'm not going to criticize anybody who wants to laugh their way through this. I didn't laugh. I just really thought about how pitiful it is when you try to prove a point that you can cut corners, skirt regulations, and then end up putting so many people's lives at risk. And then to find out there was a 19-year-old kid on there who didn't want to be there in the first place. That took me out. That took me out.
I thought about what his story could have been, and that could have been my dad, because it was Father's Day. It was still, you know, my dad is going on this trip, I'm going to go with him type of thing. That's what I could think of. I don't know if that was the exact story. Reportedly, the aunt of the 19-year-old boy said he was, you know, talking about reservations of going. He did not feel comfortable. He was frightened. It was, I think, about $250,000 per person to get on and ride down to the Titanic. You guys know that this machine, this capsule isn't fit to go down there with that many people. I don't care how many trips it's done successfully. Experts know, looking at that thing, it's not something that is going to withstand. It's not
pressures.
Supposed to withstand pressures.
Just the arrogance of rich people. Like not even the family, not even the young man and his dad who went on the trip, but the arrogance of the CEO and the trust that you put in people because they have money. I think we should all really be clear of the fact that money does not equal intelligence.
And this is something that has been on media. Like we got memes about it. We have debates about it. It's on every channel. It's in every country. We're all talking about it. But one thing that we haven't seen in that same time was a shipwreck that happened right in the Greek waters. Hundreds of people missing when the overloaded vessel capsized in the Mediterranean on June 14th. It was Syrian immigrants. It looked like Pakistani, Syrian, Egyptian, Palestinian refugees and migrants, 750 of them on a boat. But we didn't hear about that at all. Those people paid their last to try to find a better life, I think, going into Italy. And we didn't hear anything about it. 750 people.
The nature of global media, that they really don't care about migrants, especially, you know, when so many nations have this far right-wing disposition towards migrants. Like they don't want you to come to their country anyway. I remember this at the start of the Syrian civil war, how many Syrian migrants, refugees were trying to escape and drowned as well. And it wasn't until there was a picture of, I think it was a 3-year-old little boy who washed up on the shores, that it finally got the attention of the world. But then they went right back to normal, not caring about these migrants who died trying to escape the problems that they have at home, jumping on ships, overloading these ships, and then they capsize. And we see this is a perfect example. We spent the entire week. I mean, they even put an oxygen counter, an hour countdown for the oxygen on the Titan on CNN. And they had it playing over and over and over again. It's one thing that the media loves is trauma porn, right? They love for us, but they don't show a specific type. They never show the type of suffering that happens coming from quote unquote third world countries or quote unquote underdeveloped countries, which are nothing more than overexploited countries. They don't show that, but they will spend the entire week showing what happened to 5 people on a sub, because, well, those are people that we're supposed to have empathy for. Those are people we're supposed to be concerned about. And that's how the media always works. And it gets even worse when you talk about Black people. When you talk about the horrors that have happened throughout the continent of Africa, where we, comparatively speaking, the stuff that they have us fixated on CNN all day long pale in comparison to the horrors that we see in the global South. And this is the perfect example. We spent the entire week talking about those 5 people on the ship, on the submersible, and you have to go online to get information about the refugees, how many of them died. And we're going to see more and more and more and more of this, not only because of different wars and skirmishes and things that are happening internally in each of these countries that these people are coming from, but also because of climate change. The more intense the climate gets, the more refugees we're going to see. And see, we have this assumption in the United States that we wouldn't be refugees ourselves, right? But the more we see climate change make these drastic changes in our weather, and the more we see flooding, like we saw in Pakistan, like historic levels of flooding, the displacement, the amount of people who are going to be trying to get to better conditions is going to grow exponentially, to the point of we're going to see this on a regular basis. This is unfortunately just the beginning, because again, we're dealing with a system of people, some of those billionaires, who really control whether or not we even talk about climate change in a meaningful way. So I think people really need to pause and look at what happened to these migrants and understand that's coming like 100-fold because of everything that is happening in the world right now. And the stupidity of the Greece Coast Guard. Like, I mean, this is not a good comparison, but I just, if anybody have done a cheap tow of your car, and you put a rope on the car in front of you in order to tow, you do know not to go over a certain speed. Now we're talking about a boat with hundreds of people, 750 people on it, and the Greek Coast Guard had enough forces to get there to tow them, but not enough forces to save them. Like, so there's a whole lot more that we need to know about this, and people do need to be held accountable. But like I saw someone say in the chat room, this happened in international waters, so there's a possibility that no one will be held accountable for all the loss of life that we just saw this week.
Let's go. It's time for Like It or Not.